So hello and welcome. Yes, good morning, Deborah as well. I'm joining here from the UK, so it's just after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I bring in a very British element. It is raining, so I hope it's sunny where you are, but here we have a mixture of sunshine and rain at the moment. So this session is showcasing the partnership between MOBTS and our Centre of Management Education at the University of Surrey. And I'd like to give you a little bit of context of how this came about before I'm going to show you our new website, what we do, what we are about, and so on and so forth. Okay, so in the end of January, beginning of February, I attended the International MOBTS in New Zealand, in Christchurch, and it was obviously a fantastic experience, similar to the domestic ones. Really great company, great discussions, and a lot to learn. And this is where I met Brendan and Michael, and we started talking about, how our two the society and our Centre for Management Education are quite similar in what we're trying to achieve. And obviously, I was sitting in the UK, and Brendan and Michael and the MOBTS is predominantly in the US, but we identified that there are a number of parallels, and that we could actually help each other out in the way of how we want to drive management education forwards as a profession, but also as a research field. And I think this is really important. Obviously, the management education community in some respect is quite small in comparison to other communities. But on the other hand, I think there is an opportunity to grow. And we have certainly seen that with the Centre for Management Education. So I will give you now a little bit of an overview of the centre itself. I'll share my screen for that purpose so you can see our beautiful new website. Right, okay, let me just, here we go. That's the wrong one, hang on a second. There we are. I hope you can see the website here. So the Centre for Management Education is part of the University of Surrey, and specifically the Surrey Business School. The Centre for Management Education was founded in 2016 and then launched in 2017. And that was predominantly done by my colleague and Professor Andrew Atcroft and myself. So the whole idea around the Centre for Management Education is to be a leading centre for inquiry into the theory and practice of management education. And so it was really important for us to bridge practice and research in this respect, but also be a platform for practitioners to enhance learning and teaching through industry-informed curriculum design, to contribute to the development and innovation of new teaching practices, and most importantly, staff development is a really big part of our portfolio, if you want. And that's what I predominantly talked with Michael and Brendan about as well, because I'm really passionate about that, in the same way that we want to ensure that our doctors and our nurses are trained, we also want to make sure that our management educators are trained in a certain way when they engage with our students. So the centre therefore has a number of areas. Obviously, research I've mentioned already beforehand, and I will tap into that. We also have something called study, and I will come to that later on in more detail. We have a component around business. We do quite a lot of consultancy work with other higher education institutions, predominantly business schools, around how we can enhance the management education, the learning and teaching strategies. And most recently, we have found ourselves to be quite leading in the way of how we're going to design our future delivery of learning and teaching, which we called active digital design. And I can talk about that a little bit more later on as well, and how this might be relevant to you too. So let me talk a little bit about the research side of things. So on the one hand, we do research with other business schools. all on management education topics, obviously, whether this is on innovative teaching practices or whether this is on staff development aspects. So if you would click on here, you can see that we have a number of publications here that we have done with others together. You can just have a look through. We have literally just rebranded our center and opened up this new website, so there's still a lot of content to come in, but just so you know where to find things at the moment. We're very interested in international collaborations, especially on the research side of things, because things are different. Even between the UK and the US, management education isn't the same. So again, we are quite supportive of also research projects that involve early career researchers. Again, we believe that this is a really important element that we can drive forwards into the future to not just equip early career researchers with certain skills, but also help them to be excited and passionate about management education research and where to research. And then we in the UK, we also have the opportunity to not just go down the research route, but also a teaching focused route. So there's a lot of talk about a so-called management education focused professor. And for that, we need to tap into certain outlets. And that's what we also do. We support early career researchers in identifying their career path. And I know that Jeannie Foray and Kathy are quite strong in that field, and we are looking forward to collaborating more with them to bring in their insights and help us really shape the focus of early career researchers who want to tap into that more and more in the future. So that's what we're doing in the research side of things. We're also involved in grant bidding across the globe, as well as domestically. We are very fortunate that we are a center that has received a lot of sponsorship over the years. We have a very nice donor, and so we're not bound or restricted in what we actually do, and that gives us a lot of flexibility, but also creativity in what we research, how we research, and I think is something that is probably quite unique. But we're equally happy to tap into and collaborate on research grants that are more prescriptive. So that's the sort of research side of things. In terms of study, we, as I mentioned earlier, we are very strong on the staff development side of things. And 3 years ago, I identified a need for a postgraduate certificate in management education. It's the only one that really exists in the world, and that focuses on management education within a business school context. And it's predominantly aimed at practitioners, but we have welcomed ECRs, and we have welcomed junior teaching staff, associates, and particularly help people to transition into the world of learning and teaching in a business school, which is quite different, especially when you come from industry, and it can be quite daunting. So this course here starts in January and runs over 6 months. It consists of 4 modules and is delivered within a 6-month period. I will now stop sharing that particular screen and show you a little bit more of what we do there and how this might be beneficial to some of you as well.
Can I ask a quick question? Did
Yes.
I hear you say ECRs?
Yes, early career researchers.
Oh, early career. Okay. All right. Thank you.
No, that's absolutely fine. Sorry if I use the acronyms like that. I'll have to share my whole screen. I can't get this up at the moment. Can you see this picture here where it says PG Cert Management Education? Okay, so as mentioned, this is mainly aimed at people who want to transition into management education. And what we found is that understanding the business school environment is really important. So we have 4 modules here, and they're all interconnected. The first one is called Introduction to Management Education. And what we've drawn here is really the business school environment. So this includes accreditation bodies, bodies, professional bodies, and this is around the world. You know, how are we situated, where are we at, what do business schools do, where do they come from, what challenges do we face? Bringing in international perspectives, especially around international management education. So, you know, quite often we think that in the West we know it all, but actually we can learn a lot from the East as well. And first of all, I would like to keep it in mind that we, not just that we can learn, but I'm also interested in how we can narrow the gap between the West and the East, because actually we do so many things together anyway. And then the third component here is to look at management education research. So interestingly, we have a number of people who have completed the PhD cert in management education as a stepping stone into a PhD. And that's quite an interesting career path in itself. Or we have practitioners who have done it, then worked with us as associates or in full-time or part-time teaching positions, and then do a part-time PhD alongside. But also equally, we had PhD students who came out of the PhD and would like to teach in the business school and have started a PhD cert. So it's a mix. It depends which different angles you're coming from, but it serves all sorts of needs. The second module is called Theory and Philosophy, and here we look at the pedagogic approaches that we use in management education, and there is a variety of them, but also of how we can combine them, which ones are legitimate for us, which ones can we borrow from other disciplines. And that brings me to the interdisciplinary management education approach. So some of the things that we have experienced is that we get requests from computing or engineering or even our veterinary school to design more interdisciplinary curricula. And here we have to talk about, you know, how and where is it relevant, what is out there at the moment, how can we help each other, and so on. And then the third topic that we look in this second module here is called Philosophical Topics in Management Education. And this looks really at, if you want, PRME, so these are the principles of responsible management education, and to debate that, so anything around sustainability and ethics and responsibility is discussed here. The third module is then goes more practical. It looks at innovation and leadership. So here we bring things in like curriculum design, how do we lead modules and programs? So from a strategic level to an operational level, and what are, again, the challenges here, and so on. So this is always a quite interesting one, because this is when people really get their hands dirty. So they go from the sort of more theoretical, philosophical, critical approach into a very practical approach. And then the fourth module is called Management Education in Practice. And this is not online. This is a 3-day summer school. And what is really nice is it's quite a flexible format, so we can deliver this anywhere, like the online one. But as a 3-day summer school, some of the ideas that we had is, you know, for instance, how we can maybe marry up MOBTS domestic conferences with that summer school, and then already draw from what students have learned into the conference, and it would give them a really nice environment to showcase that, but also to engage with the community, to learn to network, and so on. So here we really put things into practice. We have we work with a number of different people. You see here, being on stage, body, voice, mind. We work with actors, you know, what it means to actually stand physically in a lecture hall, and to project voices and to engage 500 to 1,000 students at times. But also this question around teaching identity, I think, is quite important, especially when people go for the PhD cert in management education. They're not just transitioning from one profession to another profession or adding new skills or acquiring new knowledge. They're also adopting a new identity at times, and it's that sort of element that is really important. You see that there's the red angles around it, and it says personal learning coach, and this is something that really distinguishes our program from other programs, and this is where I think MOBTS also felt that this makes sense and adds value to their members, is that while you're going through this program and you learn and you acquire new knowledge and skills, there are also one-to-one sessions in this process. At the time they're weekly or bi-weekly when they take place, but it's a really good way of identifying where we want to go and have really in-depth conversations about their own sort of development of it. What we heard from colleagues who have done this and now is with us in the business school or in other business schools is that they developed really a sense of belonging, but also increase their confidence immensely to really teach in this space. And I think that's quite a beautiful thing to do. So this is the postgraduate certificate in management education. As said, this is one of the things that we offer as one of our qualifications, if you want. We also have internal qualifications, obviously, but this is the external one, and you know, we would really like to extend that. Not just beyond the UK and Europe, but also obviously to the US. We have a lot of people internationally joining, so especially from Asia, but we also have people from Barbados, and it's a real nice mix, especially when we have the summer school and people come together and share their experiences. And again, like I said earlier, it's about this East and West, bringing it together and closing the gap more. So this is what we do for our colleagues. I said we also offer bespoke CPD, and we've worked with a number of business schools where we've taken elements of the PG Cert and repackaged them and have done one-day workshops, face-to-face or online. So this is a really big part of our centre and how we can really help business schools here to develop their management education portfolio, if you want. We also have something which we call Become an Entrepreneur. This is a very different program, and this is actually aimed at students from disadvantaged backgrounds. We have an academy which is called Surrey Idea, where we invite students to pitch an idea for business, and then instead of them going through a program, they are exploring how they can launch their business, if you want, while studying. So that's that one here, and you can find out more with the link here, what Surrey Idea holds in mind. Again, we have worked with a lot of schools here, business schools, as well as also senior schools, high schools, to help their students transition and formulate their ideas. So I wanted to go back to, here we go. So I talked a bit about research, I talked about the study and what it is that we offer. And in terms of business, as I said, it's about consultancy that we do in this particular area. People-wise, at the moment, we are at Surrey, is myself and Professor Andy Atcroft, who is our Deputy Dean. We're the founders, but also we are both co-directors of the centre. And then we have our Centre for Management Education team, where we have a number of people who have spent a lot of time in business schools, in learning and teaching from various areas, come together. But we are also home to our MBA program, to our foundation year program, and our employability development within the business school. So a very mixed team, and I'm probably going to stop here, and I'm very happy to take any questions that you have about the centre, but also how you think this might be relevant to what you are doing.
I don't have any questions, but we are redesigning our global business leadership curriculum in my department, and so I thought this would be really relevant. We also have very strong study abroad programs, so we are globally focused in my department, and so I wanted to learn more about what you're doing, maybe even possibly long-term collaborating with as we go through this redesign process, and hopefully with appropriate funding, bring in new professors. Maybe this could be an alternative for their career development and professional development as well.
Sure. So, do you want to tell me more about that, what you're trying to launch there?
Well, only if you can forgive my very, very bad hair day today.
Oh, that's okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay. So my department, I'm in a small liberal arts college in central Minnesota, College of St. Benedict St. John's. And we are the Global Business Leadership Department where I teach is trying to be more international. The school itself is very international, but our we've got kind of half of our professors are very regionally focused, but we've been bringing in more professors from other countries. And so I'm hoping that we will expand that. Of course, it's going to depend on funding and
Sure.
a lot of other things. And so I am looking at different centers where we can send professors to gain some additional professional development, because we are primarily a teaching institution.
That sounds really great. Yeah.
Yeah, but your combination of teaching and the research track and doing research in pedagogy is really interesting to me.
So it's really interesting that you bring that up. So Brendan and Michael and I, we have talked a lot about how we can support mobility of teaching focused or research focused academics in the field, and maybe an exchange program or something like you said, where people can learn. So this is something that we are looking into launching, and that might be something that where we can then catch up maybe in 2 or 3 months time to see of how we can support you as well to do that and to bring people in with that international context, but also maybe people coming over to the UK or whatever it would be, to then ensure that is taking place. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, exchange program would be great. And that is one of the things that we've been looking at, but we've been looking at exchange programs for students. We hadn't really thought about exchange programs for professors, other than looking at Fulbrights and bringing in people in the Fulbright program for a year or so. So if that's something that you are doing, we would be very interested in the future in looking at having a professor come over for a semester, or I mean, we could explore all types of ideas. I think it would be a great collaboration to consider.
I'm sure Brendan will make a note of that.
Yeah, no, there are so many different ways that that this can go, and it's fantastic. This is something that has been a topic that we have discussed internally within MOBTS. So this kind of certification aspect that it's a huge endeavor, and then we bumped into Christine in New Zealand, and it was like, wow, not only has somebody already crafted this, but they've crafted it expertly. So it only made sense, so to this point, MOBTS and CMEdu only have an MOU in place, and we're still, we're fleshing out the details and all. But both sides have flirted with one another enough that we know we'll get together. So it's a great relationship. And I think what the beauty of it is that I think you could present this to 10 different people, and they would see 10 different ways that this could be applied, within their realm. The way I look at it is, I see this as being tremendous from an AACSB standpoint, in terms of those that are, and I apologize I know the terminology is always changing with the guidelines, but professionally qualified. They're coming from this practitioner world, and they they can really utilize this certification. They have such immense knowledge to lean on. But again, Christine, getting back to your your voice in the classroom and all that, that's a skill set that they're learning on the spot, and that's scary at times. A lot of times those PQ full-time lecturers stuff, they end up being some of your best educators once they finally get their feet underneath them. But it takes time, and they have to get through that period of uneasiness and uncomfortableness and learning to get to the point of there are so many different ways that this could be utilized. I think I really look forward to giving this a go. The University of Surrey has been fantastic in terms of being adaptable and in just concepts at this point. But is this something that we could integrate into our U.S. conference? This is something we could integrate into our international conference. This is something where we bring what we do to the university, and we have some event around it. so yeah, I think the partnership is going to be beautiful. It's certainly going to be, we're certainly going to, you know, try quite hard on each end, because it conceptually it works, it fits. So we'll see where we go from there. But I'm sorry, Deborah.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to add, which also made my ears perk, is that I'm also am director of our Asian Studies program. So when you mentioned that you're bringing in more people from students from Asia, that is, I find that very interesting, because since we're a program and not a department, we bring people in for short periods of time. And of course, we don't really have the funding, but if it would be an opportunity for someone who can come and get that teaching experience at our university, you know, to collaborate in that way, I mean, I think that would be great.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's really interesting training people with Asian backgrounds, or, you know, who come from a very different educational culture. Right. And so working with them has been fantastic, and it's a real insight that we gain, to be honest. And also I continue working with a lot of people after the program. So once they completed the certificate, I continue coaching some of them, not on a regular basis, but when they need it, and we're staying in touch, so they continue to expand even after that. But yeah, I think it is really interesting. And we have, you know, in the business school, we are quite a multicultural business school, so we have a lot of different people from different backgrounds coming in. And I think it's always a myth that we all know how we teach our students or how we should teach our students. And it's in those one-to-ones, you saw those red circles, when this comes to the surface, that they say, I actually don't know. I don't know what to do. And then you explore it, you know, what are their strengths? How can we work with that and this and that and the other? And it's beautiful to see how they grow throughout that as well. You know, we always have to have such a shell on us. So this is where they can actually, you know, let go of that and build something that is really robust for them, that fits them. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone else would like to add anything to that?
I think we're good. I appreciate it, Christine, you taking the time out to go through this and to allow us to record it, because I know, like I said, there were numerous people who had emailed me saying, look, I can't make it. We're out on, you know, other side of the world. Our Australian friends that we met, for example, were very interested in this. So yeah, we'll see where we go with this. We will continue to update our membership as we progress now past the MOU into a more formal and structured agreement. And we'll and I think something pretty special can come out of this. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Have a lovely day ahead of you, and
I will put my email in the chat for you, Christine.
Right.
And then you can get that, okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Rather than my sending a separate email at a different time, which I might forget.
Thank you, Felicia.
Sorry, I wanted to attend, but I had another call, so I was like trying to switch back and forth. But I'm really excited about this partnership, so I wanted to be here to kind of hear about it. And I have the website pulled up so I can go through it again. So I'm definitely excited, because I think I'm a new faculty member and I graduated this year. So I feel like even just the extra, even just the extra information about management education, I think that's really beneficial, because we don't really get a lot of the teaching stuff in our programs. It's just research, and then we're thrown into the teaching job, and it's like we're starting to flail trying to figure out what is the best way. So I'm definitely excited about this.
And where are you, Felicia?
I'm at Florida A&M University as a visiting assistant faculty member.
Fabulous.
Congratulations.
The behavior courses. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No, you're absolutely right. It was really interesting to you know, explore where teaching qualifications are really important, and which countries or areas do have them compulsory. So we in the UK, it's actually part of our probation process, and we need to sign this off, and everybody needs to have gone through that. But I know it's not the same everywhere else, that everybody needs to be trained. And it is quite a revelation for some people, especially those who join us internationally. They say, why don't we have that? Why don't we have to do that? It's so good. It's so, I know so much more now. So, and this is when I spoke with Brandon as well, what we wanted to bring to MOBTS is that sort of, that knowledge, and that we can share it, and that we can say to you, hey, that if you want a qualification, there is a qualification, we can support you. You don't have to struggle for the cold waters yourself. You can do this with support, and yes, it's really great to hear. But you're absolutely right. The majority of PhDs are research focused, and there isn't much room for the teaching side of thing. And so, yeah, I'm really glad that you joined us, or whatever, you're able to just bring that up as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you for taking the time out to talk to us. And like Brandon said, record it, because I know a lot of other people will want to hear what you had to present, and just follow up. So we'll be tracking the progress of the relationship.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the things I was just thinking about, because I've got 2 PhD students on the program who are completing in July. Okay. And so they're completing my program, they're still doing their PhD. But it's also going to be interesting to bring that community of people together who have just finished their PhDs or about to go into, and to share that as well, of how they can combine that. Because for a lot of people, just doing a PhD can be, quite isolating and lonely. Yeah. And so some people see refuge in the teaching, but they don't feel ready for it. So again, maybe there's also a sort of community that can grow out of it, where we can help each other and start that exchange we talked with Deborah about a lot earlier on than later on. So. Yep.
I agree. I definitely agree with everything you just said. That community, and we get that at MOBTS a lot. And I know for us virtual, we're still trying to make sure we have that connectivity. So those communities are definitely important for our longevity, and just making sure that we feel capable to do what we're, meant to do.
Yeah, great.